Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and the new Black Widow trailer unveiled David Harbour as Alexei Shostakov, aka Red Guardian, aka the first practical dream bod for most of us who watch these movies. Yeah, you flex those Russian tats. As the Soviet equivalent to Captain America, there's a lot of odd history behind this dude. And let's call it out. It's kinda nuts to see Chief Hopper from Stranger Things show up in this role, especially considering, well, spoiler warning for Stranger Things Season 3, that season ends with a cryptic tease that Hopper did not actually die. He somehow transported to Soviet Russia, and now he could be the mysterious American in a prison cell referenced in the season's post-credit scene. Now, the next time we see David Harbour on a screen, he's bursting out of a Siberian prison cell. As they say in Russia, what the f***? You know, a lot of Russians speak English, they get confused too. Look, I know Hopper and Alexei are not the same character. They're from separate franchises owned by separate studios, Netflix and Disney, who fiercely hate each other, or at least would not benefit from any kind of bonkers crossover. But the more you look into this, the more insane the parallels are. So let us detach ourselves from plausibility and logical canon and wade into the dangerous but fun realm of canon in our own imaginations, headcanon, to explain how Hopper could have become Black Widow's Russian bud as part of a
total conspiracy.
Okay, let's break down the timeline. Black Widow's chronology is being left as a weird mystery. We know part of its timeline takes place between Captain America Civil War 2016 and Avengers Infinity War 2018, the 2 years when Natasha Romanoff was on the run after joining Cap's team of fugitives, defying Tony Stark and Secretary Ross's superhero registration under the Sokovia Accords. But also, Black Widow will feature events from an earlier time period, maybe multiple earlier time periods. One of those periods appears to be in the mid-2000s, before Natasha joined Nick Fury in the Avengers Initiative. Born in 1984, Natasha would be in her early 20s during that time, but based on the trailer footage we've seen, the confusion comes from the footage of Thaddeus Ross, de-aged so that his hair and mustache are blonde. We learned from ENDGAME trailers that you can use hair clocks to decode timelines, and we saw Ross in The Incredible Hulk, also set in the mid to late 2000s, with solidly gray hair and stash. So, blonde Ross must be at least a decade earlier, probably sometime in the mid-90s. So in the mid-90s, Natasha Romanoff would be a teenager, likely still a young initiate in the KGB Red Room, so some of the events of the Black Widow film must center around other characters a generation before Natasha, perhaps Rachel Weisz as Melina, and David Harbour as Alexei. So now let's switch over to the Stranger Things timeline. Season 3 takes place in the summer of 1985, except for its prologue scene, which takes place in Siberia 1984. The same year in the MCU, Natasha was born. Stranger Things Season 3 ends with Hopper dressed in Soviet military uniform, apparently dying as the portal opening device explodes, but we never see a body, and the post-credit scene shows a Siberian military prison that contains some American. The theory many of us have put forward is that Hopper did not die, he got sucked into the rift in the Upside Down at the last second, and that the Upside Down dimension exists separate from our dimension's understanding of space, creating a kind of wormhole tunnel between distant points on our Earth, allowing Hopper to reappear in Siberia, masquerading as a Russian soldier in the year 1985. So let's assume that Hopper then got intercepted by Russian patrols and then interrogated. Would he give them his name? Probably not. These are the enemy Russians during a particularly dangerous time of the Cold War. So when pressed for information about himself, wouldn't he try to blend in as a Russian at first? Maybe give them a Russian name that was most immediately on his mind, the Russian defector he worked with in Hawkins, Indiana, who was sadly killed, named Alexei. Okay, so Hopper as Alexei would be a valuable asset for Russian intelligence. The guy's a hell of a fighter. He knows the ways of the American heartland. He also defeated Grigory, their Terminator Ivan Drago-like super soldier assassin, who, interestingly, possessed superhuman strength. It's not typical for a human being, even a real strong one, to be able to lift an average weight adult male off his feet by his neck. Presumably, Grigory was on some kind of rusky roids. This is exactly the backstory of Red Guardian from the Marvel Comics. He was the Soviet Union's attempt to duplicate Captain America from the United States, an attempt to steal the elusive super soldier serum cocktail to create their own poster soldier to inspire their military during the Cold War. In this secret military prison in Kamchatka and Stranger Things' final scene, we know they're doing some kind of scientific experiments. They got a Demogorgon there, and all this is presumably for weapons testing, since in Russia during the Cold War, everything was to develop new weapons to fight those Americans. Could the American, Hopper/Alexei, be under a similar kind of experimentation, the development of the perfect spy assassin super soldier who could be inserted back into the American heartland, but really serve Mother Russia? Based on his ability to punch down a reinforced steel door, Alexei possesses some superhuman strength. And just imagine, over time, from 1985 through the mid-90s, his split loyalties become a liability. The young Black Widow agents he gets partnered with, like the young Melina, don't trust this former American, so in the KGB's eyes, he becomes damaged goods. So they hide this failed experiment in a remote prison where he grows a shaggy beard, fills out his dad bod, and covers it in stereotypical Russian tattoos. All until the time period of Black Widow, when Alexei, now in his 50s, reunites with some of his old Black Widow agents who need a split loyalty rogue for a new mission in Budapest. Whether or not the MCU Alexei is also Stranger Things Hopper, trapped in Russia for decades, there definitely is some interesting backstory to Red Guardian that I'm fascinated to explore. A lot of people are comparing him to the Winter Soldier program, which also included enhanced super soldiers hidden in Siberia, but remember, Winter Soldier was Hydra, not the KGB. Not all dark organizations are the same. Perhaps the Red Guardian program was conducted in conjunction with the American government and S.H.I.E.L.D. in order to stave off mutual threats like Hydra. Similar to the space race, which began as a bitter rivalry between the US and USSR, but later evolved into an altruistic scientific endeavor in the 80s and 90s. Red Guardian could have been the result of shared research by figures like Howard Stark. Notice that X design on the Red Guardian's uniform. Could Red Guardian have been the mysterious Project Exodus that Tony Stark alluded to in Iron Man 2, but has never been revealed in the MCU since?
I need some stuff out of storage. Give me everything from projects Pegasus, Exodus, and Goliath.
And the Exodus codename could refer to the sudden departure, the exodus of an Indiana cop to Russia, where he was transformed into a Russian super soldier with split loyalties. Now look, I'm just having some fun here. I'm not presenting this as a legit prediction for either Black Widow or Stranger Things Season 4. I'm not a theory meteorologist here at New Rockstars. I'm just pointing out uncanny parallels between separate properties that I find interesting, and you should too. But if you're into this kind of imaginative thinking, I need two favors from you watchers. Let me know in the comments below or via tweet what other kind of unrelated properties could actually be connected via headcanon. And secondly, for all the other naysayers in the comments down there who are just knee-jerk reacting to the title and the thumbnail of this video without watching it, let them know that we're just trying something new and we're playing in the world of speculation, not prediction. So to chill out and to just have an imagination for once. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss, and follow New Rockstars on socials, and remember to subscribe. Thanks for joining me. Bye.